So I created this workshop. It's called the Better Questions Workshop. And the goal is to help founders with the three R's. I sent out 500 invites for a workshop I did. One person showed up. Hey, my name is Bruce Hill, Better Questions Coach. I believe one new skill will change your life. So I help founders like you turn more conversations into clients by teaching them to ask better questions. Now, I'm really good at training. I think I've gotten pretty good at sales. One area of improvement for me is marketing. So I created this workshop. It's called the Better Questions Workshop. And the goal is to help founders with the three R's. I love a good alliteration and I love a good triplicate. So there's three R's. There's recruiting, there's raising, and there's revenue. Those are the three R's. So for my founders, I know that light bulb comes on. You're like, hey, I got to raise some money. You'll say, hey, we need revenue, preferably recurring revenue. Maybe there should be four R's. And then, of course, at some point, you're going to have to recruit. You're going to have to hire, whether that's a technical founder, whether that's the mentor, whether that's a back-end team or a front office team, right? Customer-facing team. You're going to have to recruit. So in my head, I said, if I can help founders check those three boxes, man, they're going to love this. There's a lesson in there because no matter how great your product or service is, how amazing your idea is, if no one hears about it, it's just an idea. Fortunately, though, I kept telling people, and 3 days before the workshop, I was at an event for founders. Shout out to the Pit Atlanta. Shout out to Khadijah and Kim. And I said, hey, they said, Bruce, what do you do? I said, thank you for asking. I make sales simple by teaching founders to ask better questions. I got a workshop this weekend. You're welcome to come. And a founder came in. It was a one person that showed up. So pause. How you do anything is how you do everything. It would be real easy to cancel. It'd be really easy to be frustrated. And I'm sharing this because when there's hundreds of people in front of in a workshop, when there's thousands of people in the audience, I want you to remember this video and be like, hey, I started where you did at the beginning, where everyone starts. And I'm looking forward to looking back like, man, I remember that workshop. So 2 things I did that I challenge you, how you do anything, how you do everything. First of all, I didn't cancel it. It's practice. Get your reps in. Get your reps in when no one's looking. And that practice, that is going to transform your growth. Read. What's a good one? Let's go with Atomic Habits. I think it's James Clear. Oh, or even better, the compound effect. That's a good one too. All right. So I didn't cancel it. And the second thing is I showed up with excellence. We still went through every exercise, every step. We didn't skip steps. It was really nice because I could personalize it to her business. So as we're walking through here, we're talking about the 3 R's. She's not ready to recruit just yet, but she is ready to raise, and she is looking at revenue. So we worked on a customer discovery process using the Better Questions framework, right? Asking better questions, it's better clients. And she was like, well, I have a call on Monday. I said, well, tell me about this call on Monday. Because I'm working with connecting these 2 parties in a way that hasn't happened before. So the service is old, but the innovation is new. This is a great market to be in. There's less education of why it's needed, and there's more opportunity to innovate. So they're already familiar with the problem. We just got to show them a new and better solution. I said, man, I love this. So we worked through something called the question path. If you are on this channel, just Google the conversations, or don't Google it. It's in the YouTube search bar. Conversations to Clients training. And you can walk through a version of what I taught her. I was like, if you ask better questions on these calls, you're more likely to end up with a client at the end of it. So I taught her the questions. And I'll share them with you. It's just not this video. So then what's really fun about halfway through, you start building momentum. And I could have sat there mad, disappointed, and I did all this work and only one person showed up. But when you focus on adding value, when you focus on, man, let pretend everyone is watching when no one's watching, and you operate in that level of excellence, something happens. So now she says, "Hey, will you help us with our go-to-market strategy?" Yeah, let's talk about it. Now we've got a client from showing up. She asked, she said, "Hey, we also need trainers for this part of our service offering. Hey, we'll talk about a training partnership." And then the feedback I got, always ask for feedback, and the testimonial too. Thanks for the testimonial. Appreciate the opportunity to serve. The feedback was there was asking better questions, but something she shared that stood out to her was not being afraid of the answer. So what do you mean? She said, well, you're asking these people for their business. You're asking them for a meeting. You're asking them for an introduction. You're asking them for a referral. What if they say no? And she even said, you didn't mention this out loud, but I realized that we're not responsible for their answer. It's just up to us to ask. I said, man, that was your takeaway? She said, yeah. Instead of being worried about what they say, I just need to worry about asking. I said, man. So now that's going to go into training. The training's got a little better because of another repetition, because of another practice. And so I'm very thankful and humble that I get better every time I share it. So I'm going to keep sharing it. Ask better questions. So for my founders, we're talking about customer discovery. I want to teach you something called context questions. So you may know open-ended questions, right? They start with who, what, where, when, why, and how. You may know closed-ended questions. Right? They can be answered yes or no. Pop quiz. When do we use open versus closed? Do you know? Best practice is 80% of your questions should be open-ended. Those are for conversation. Closed-ended questions are for confirmation. Now, a context question can be open or closed, but here's the important part. It's about the motivation. I want to understand why. I want to understand what you're thinking. I want to understand what you care about. So when we go into customer discovery, it's very easy to ask concrete questions. And I talk about this more in the book, AskingBetterQuestions.com. You grab a copy. And we talk about concrete questions for hard data. Those are surveys. That's a questionnaire. That's an intake form. That can and should be automated. But when we ask context questions, we start getting into how our client or future client thinks. That transforms how we approach our product development. That transforms how we approach our marketing. That transforms how we close sales calls. And they're a lot easier because you can just repeat back to them what their priorities are, what their motivation is when you ask more context questions. So I'm getting this clarity. She's having a breakthrough, and it's a win-win. And that was arguably one of the best workshops we've had, even though it was one of the smallest ones we had. The last one was much better attended. Well, I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve because I get to share with you as a founder. I want you to remember that if you are frustrated with where you are, that's okay. But do not stay there. Remember, everybody starts at the beginning. And you can use these asking better questions for the customer discovery. You can ask better questions to close more sales. You can ask better questions to raise better. Even if you're not asking questions in the pitch, obviously you're pitching, right? Maybe it's not a conversation, it's more one directional. Maybe they're asking you the questions. But in the preparation, you can ask yourself, hey, what is going to be compelling them to invest? What's going to compel them? What's going to help them understand? What's going to bring them clarity? Another great training is your introduction is costing you money. I'll link that one as well. Revenue, raise, recruit. It all starts with asking better questions. It perpetuates from asking better questions. There's this positive feedback loop that happens from asking better questions. So when I say I help founders here, yes, more often by teaching them to ask better questions. When I make sales simple by teaching you to ask better questions. When I help you turn conversations into clients by teaching you to ask better questions, it's not a cliche. It's not a bumper sticker. It's not a fridge magnet. It's really a fundamental practice that you can use. It's sales methodology agnostic. It's tech stack agnostic. So whatever your AI strategy looks like, underneath it all is asking better questions. I truly, sincerely, emphatically mean it when I tell you one new skill will change your life. Not even a little bit, absolutely transform. Not maybe, definitely. The one skill I'm going to help you learn is asking better questions. So if you're a founder, whether you're early stage or raising, I'm going to teach you to ask better questions. If you're ready for that first hire, I'm going to teach you to ask better questions. If you're looking to scale, I'm going to teach you to ask better questions. So whatever stage you're in, we're going to help you with the sales tools, the sales strategy, or the sales training to help you get to your next level of success. And that's the beautiful part. Your next level of success isn't a raise away, isn't AI tool away, it's a better question away. So, founders, that's your opportunity. If you want one-on-one help, the link's in the caption. If you say, hey, I want to attend the next workshop, hop on our mailing list. AskMeBetterQuestions.com. You can download the Better Questions Toolkit. You hop on the mailing list. We'll let you know when and where the next one is, whether in person or virtual. Right? But at the end of the day, I want to help you succeed. I want to help you hear yes more often. I want to help you turn more conversations into clients. I want to teach you to ask better questions.